So there's the average person like us, if I call us average. Then there's like probably like the super wealthy. And I know, Leo, you can imagine people who've had like hundreds of millions of dollars, how they would get hit up about this stuff.
Yeah.
And he has a rule going, if anybody asks him for money, he goes, I'm not going to loan you money. I'm going to gift you the money. And the rule is you never ask me for money again. Ooh. And I was like, that's like quite a strong position, opposed to like changing the relationship, changing the dynamic. Instead of you having to pay me back, here's this free money, but never, ever talk to me about it again.
This is your one get out of jail free card.
Yeah. Welcome to Checks and Balances, brought to you by Partners Life. I'm Michael. This is James. We've got Jess here. And today, top 5 money myths debunked.
Cool. So very exciting this episode. Top 5 money myths debunked. We've come up with a couple of these I think everyone's going to be really interested in. And basically, I'm going to read the myth. The boys are going to debunk it.
Wow, you're going to do more than read the myth.
Who did you used to watch Mythbusters?
Yeah, I watched some the other day, actually. Yeah,
Who's the one with the moustache and the hat, the ginger guy? Is that Mike?
Mike's the ginger guy?
No. No.
Mike's going to be thinking about that all day.
I would say I'm more of... I can't remember any of them, to be honest, actually. Yeah,
Who's the other guy's not memorable? Just the guy with the moustache
Didn't
and
one
the
of
hat.
them die?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Let's not debunk that myth.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, so the first myth of today is the stock market is just a casino.
Well, I certainly think some people treat it like a casino. And I found a great stat on Reddit, which, incredibly reliable.
It did have sources as well that were like actual sources.
So 13 out of 100 gamblers at a casino walk away making a profit. 1 out of 100 day traders walk away making a profit.
Oh, so we're actually better off at the casino.
We're better off at the casino than we are day trading, Jess. Day trading. Now,
what is day trading?
Day trading is pretty much as per the name. You have a direct stock portfolio. So you're picking Xero, Tesla, Nvidia, whatever. And then you are somehow, apart from your job, as a builder, you also think that you have enough information and are doing enough analysis to go, on a day-to-day basis, I'm going to sell this stock, buy this other stock. And that's why 1 out of 100 make any money.
Yeah, one of the characteristics of day trading is that they usually have quite high transaction volume. As in, they will sell and buy stocks fairly regularly, and that kind of goes against everything.
I also think there's an 80% probability they live in their mum's basement as well.
Yeah, with the NFT names.
Is that a personality type? And are these people, because if you think about like what a fund manager does, it's an incredibly skilled, specialized job.
And they still don't beat the benchmark.
And what was it, the performance, what was it like of the hedge funds, like major hedge funds in the States? I think, maybe like the top 2% or something have double-digit returns for the first half of the year, and the S&P 500 is at like 15% or something. They are like absolutely underperforming the market. I think like Bill Ackman's one had like a 5% return or something. Yeah, absolute trash.
So even people that are specialized in this area don't perform over the benchmark.
Yeah.
And then these guys living in their mother's basement think they can do it.
Yeah. So there's probably a few different like parts to the myth. So one part is those who are really keen to invest and invest the wrong way. So they're trying to pick individual stocks, because there's two versions, right? There's the day traders, which are bad. There's also the people picking direct stocks and holding them for long periods of time, where that's where the market's gone up 30% and you're like, why is my Sharesies portfolio at only a 2% return? So those people aren't doing a very good job. Instead of going for those strategies, picking direct stocks, we know we should be picking well-diversified funds in a well-structured portfolio in lots of different areas. The other part to it is the those who go, investing is gambling. So I don't understand stocks. They're not tangible. They're fugazi. They're fugazi. They're nothing. And those people leave their money in cash because they're like, I don't want to gamble.
Yeah.
But of course, we know the opportunity cost with those clients is huge because their money is in cash, and that's the only guaranteed investment to go backwards over the long term.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's not to say it's important to have a cash buffer and an emergency fund. We talk about that all the time, but people who are there's like these two camps, either their retirement savings are all in direct stocks or their retirement savings are all in cash. We don't want either of those, right, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's also important to have a cash buffer so you can deploy capital when things are on sale. Because if everything is tied up in assets and the market drops, the value drops. You have no cash to deploy.
Cool. So do we feel like we've busted this myth?
Yep.
I think. Well, I mean, it is gambling for most people. If you do
It's
it
the two
right,
ends of the spectrum,
yeah.
right?
If you do it right, it's not. It's there is still risk.
If you do
and
it
there is
right.
still chance, but there's a lot less.
Yeah. Bottom
Right.
line is money is simple. Do not pick direct stocks. Stay diversified over the long term. If you have debt, pay down the debt before you invest into shares. Buy a bunch of investment properties.
Yeah.
Game done. Don't
Myth
need a financial
busted.
advisor.
Do yourself out of
Yeah.
a job. All right. All right. Myth number 2. You should never loan money to family or friends.
Honestly, it's
Mike owes me money.
I wondered why that went
To
awkward
be
all of a sudden.
honest, if I'm invoicing you for my time on your investment property building,
Yeah.
there's going to be some going in there.
Is that what you've been doing this morning?
Yeah, we were at Mitre 10 at like 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Crikey. I'm
Um,
so asleep.
Yeah, look, you're right. So like Mike and I've doing some renos on my investment property in the backyard. To be fair though, there is the great story which we've spoken about in the past of you helped me build a deck with nails that weren't galvanized. They rusted through after 2 weeks. Then we went back to get more nails last week, and you still picked the wrong nails.
The nails
Are
are-
you
no,
confident
no.
the nails you bought today are the right nails?
We actually didn't buy nails. I went for screws. I was like, I'm not going to have a chance this on a third time.
To be fair, he's a mortgage advisor. How's he to know which nails are the correct?
Right. Okay. I don't want to hang on this for too long. I did get the right nails last week. It wasn't a good day. Anyway.
I like to describe Mike
loaning-
as confidently wrong in all aspects of life. So that's how we got it wrong, Jess.
Loaning money to friends or family is a terrible idea. I think we had a shared client. I'm pretty sure she was shared. And she was like, it was not too long ago. She was like, oh, I'm going to buy my first home. We're like, cool. Like, how much deposit do you have? And she's like, I have this, and I have like 80 grand that's in Australia. And I'm like, well, what's the 80 grand in Australia? She's like, oh, I loan money to like my cousin over there. And I was like, you're never going to get it back.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, I was like, I can't do anything until you have that 80 grand. And there's no point in me doing a pre-approval. The moment that money hits your account, let's
You can
do it.
buy a
Because
house.
I don't think she'll ever get it back.
And that's so sad, right? Because she's now being held back on her goals and her life moving forward because some cousin owes her money.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
it never ends well.
There are scenarios though, like we see a lot of parents loaning their children money. So that tends to work out okay.
Yeah. I think it's all about the relationship as well, right? Like by doing this, what are your expectations of what you will get back? And what will the impact be on your relationship with this person if you don't get your money back? Mike can talk about it. When a parent is lending money to a child to buy their first home, they're not expecting to get paid back anytime soon, if at all.
Or with like interest.
So like a
necessarily.
lot of people do it as a gift and then pay it back in the background. But like that's different because you are like fundamentally, you're kind of like in a different, like if you're just loaning, like my cousin in Australia needs some cash because I don't know, she needs to pay off some short-term debt. Like the situation that someone's in when they are buying a house to if they're just paying off personal debt that they're getting chased for are two very different situations, people, lifestyles, right? And like for your parents to turn around and say to you, oh, I'm happy to like loan you another 20 grand so you can get into this house or something. You have to pay me back. I mean, yeah, like you set up an AP, you pay them back. It's usually fine. It's again, very much the person, the situation, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Outside of buying that first home, very rarely does it
work
well.
out. Yeah.
Mm.
I've never actually had a friend ask me to borrow money, thankfully. But yeah, I'm not sure how I would react.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, have
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Did you give it to them? I presume not.
No, I did.
Oh.
Did you get it back?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's good.
I've heard Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank because also there's
To
people.
be fair, it was an overnight loan.
Overnight.
It was an overnight loan. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
well.
Or was
He
it
had
being paid in the morning or what?
no. He had gone out, left his wallet at home, and couldn't go home to get it because he's like, "Oh, mate, the missus is absolutely screaming at me for being out." And I was like, "That's all right, mate." Like,
I wouldn't even define that as a loan, really.
Just an overnight loan.
How much was it?
Like $1,000.
Oh,
It's a lot of money for overnight.
we can call that a lot.
That's what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
Moving
Yeah.
on. I just have
Anyway.
one more thing to touch on. I've heard Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank talk about this as well, because it's what about those in really strong financial positions? So there's the average person like us, if I call us average. Then there's like probably like the super wealthy. And I know, Leo, you can imagine people who've had like hundreds of millions of dollars, how they would get hit up about this stuff.
Yeah.
And he has a rule going, if anybody asks him for money, he goes, I'm not going to loan you money. I'm going to gift you the money. And the rule is you never ask me for money again. Ooh. And I was like, that's like quite a strong position, opposed to like changing the relationship, changing the dynamic. Instead of you having to pay me back, here's this free money, but never, ever talk to me about it again.
This is your one get out of jail free card.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
So it's obviously something he's been through before, right? And learned from. Cool. Alrighty. So myth number 3, we've sort of touched on this already, but you should keep all your money in cash for safety.
Yeah. No. And cash doesn't have to be like cash under the mattress. Cash can be cash in a savings account, cash in a transactional account, cash in a term deposit, cash in a cash fund. It just, like James said, it's guaranteed to go backwards.
But why? Can you explain why? I know why.
I can. So there's a thing in the economy called inflation, and that is that prices will increase over time. And a small amount of inflation in the economy is a good thing, because it promotes the idea that people will go out and spend their money because they know that it'll be worth less in the future. And you may not think like that, but somewhere on a macro level, that is intrinsically true. So basically, your money is getting eaten away. A bank's not really going to lend money out at a rate of less than inflation, or in very kind of rare circumstances. So you kind of know that it's just going to go backwards over time.
And if, like the example at the moment, some people are getting fooled, Jess, bamboozled by the current situation, because they're going, I can make 5.5%. 5.5% is a pretty good number.
Sounds good. Yeah.
But if you think about it, right, so first you take off tax, you're probably sitting at about 3.5%. Inflation's running at 4% right now. So you're actually zero a lot of times when it comes to term deposits and savings accounts. Once you factor in tax, once you factor in inflation, you're actually going backwards.
Yeah.
And people don't think about that. Inflation is high. They go, oh, my interest rate is high, but it's all
relative to what's going on.
As inflation comes down, interest rates will come down, our mortgage rates will come down. Everybody will be far happier. So you have to deploy your capital. You have to deploy your capital in every sense of the word. If you've got equity in a property, and go buy an investment property. If you've got cash, and this is all relative to your situation. I'm talking to a 63-year-old yesterday who's like, I've got a debt-free home. I'm like, don't buy an investment property.
No.
So relative to your situation, if you've got cash in the bank and you don't have a short-term purpose for it, you're not going to go buy a house, you're not going to go on a car, not going to go on a holiday. You've got a good emergency fund like you've alluded to. Invest it into shares, pay down debt, do something efficient. We've done the studies in our webinars where if you just keep money in cash and save over a period of time instead of regularly investing, you have to save 3 times as much money to be in the same situation. And you're just making it so much harder to get ahead.
Yeah. People don't realize that.
Perfect example with the property market, right? You cannot outsave the property market. Right now you can because it's going backwards, but that's over short periods of time. So you have to deploy your money. You have to get out of cash. Yes, investments will go up and down, but if you're in the right type of investments, you've got the right time horizon, it's going to work out for you well over the long term.
Yeah.
Cool. Myth busted?
Busted.
So, James, before we continue, I have got a special announcement.
Have you started sticking to your budget?
Absolutely not.
You finally made it as an after-hours DJ.
I wish. Mate, the thing is, we have got a brand new podcast partner, Partners Life.
You mean the award-winning insurance provider with over 300,000 Kiwis insured?
Yep, they're also a New Zealand-operated company, and they are passionate about increasing financial literacy amongst Kiwis.
Sounds like a great match. Where can I learn more about them?
Check out their website in our show notes below.
Really thought DJ Magic Mike was going to be a global sensation for a second.
Cool. Oh, can we get the Mythbusters logo? You know, it's like bang on the screen?
Yeah.
Bring back money bites.
I'm just thinking about Ghostbusters.
That's the wrong busting. Right. Myth 4. A high income means financial success. We've seen lots of examples of this in the wealth team.
Yeah, certainly when people first come into Lighthouse, into financial advice, they see a doctor, they see a lawyer, they see a business owner with good income, and they're like, this person will know a lot about financial literacy. This person will be way ahead of the game. And I always get like new analysts sitting with me in meetings going like, how the hell do they do that and earn this? And go, I found out what a term deposit was today, or I don't know how much money that I'm saving. There is no correlation whatsoever. There are people who earn very little money who have good financial literacy. But if you think about it, if you're running like a building company or a doctor or a lawyer, there's no correlation towards financial literacy to be successful in that field. And a lot of people with a high income, if they don't have a good plan in place, lifestyle creep hits them out of nowhere.
Big time.
And then they've got all of these costs that build up, right? They've got the expensive house, they've got the boat, they've got the car, they've got kids in private schools, all of that sort of thing. And it's not like somehow they were able to live off $100,000 back then, but now they're earning $500,000, $1 million, and they're like,
not do it.
I actually need all of this money. And it's a horrible position to be in.
God, imagine that, just lying awake at night and being like, holy crap, I can't get off this treadmill. Yeah. No, there's absolutely no correlation whatsoever. And again, like to your point, you could be surgeons are the worst. Like,
really?
Every time, like
anesthesia. Help me with that word. What do we?
Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the help. They're the worst. They always want to be property developers.
Yeah,
Why?
but they also like will just go blow cash on like basically anything. It's actually wild.
It's really, there's that feeling of they've got so much coming in that they can't figure out actually how much, without a plan, like you say, how much they can afford to spend.
If you're getting $80,000 a month in.
Yeah. And Jess, the big thing, right? Whether you earn $1 million a year, $100,000 a year, whatever, your income is your biggest wealth creation asset. And if you do not use that asset well, you are just going to be in the same position forever. So you need to find a difference between your income and your expenses. It doesn't matter how much you earn. It matters how much you earn, how much you spend, what's left over, and then what the hell you do with it off the back of it.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool. Alrighty. Myth busted. Right. Myth number 5. You can rely on New Zealand super for retirement.
I don't even think people in retirement at the moment on New Zealand super can rely on New Zealand super.
Do you know
I
what
think
we talk
that's a
about
myth.
sometimes is that TV1 piece around poverty in retirement?
I try not to think of that. Like I try to compartmentalize that to the back of my brain so I don't have to think about that.
So there's people, there's poverty in retirement, right? There are people who don't have their heater on much, that are doing part-time jobs when maybe their health isn't that good. They have to be very careful when they're shopping at the supermarket, whatever it might be. Every one of those people is receiving New Zealand superannuation, right? Yeah. So there are people in poverty in retirement who are getting New Zealand superannuation who don't even make like the basics, who can't, because there's obviously a whole bunch of things you want to do want to do off the back of it. So that quite clearly shows that New Zealand superannuation is not enough. Then there is the follow-up question for people our age, going, will New Zealand superannuation still be there? Will it be in the same form?
Will it be means tested? What age will it be at? What will the amount be?
Yeah.
And you've got to guarantee it won't be.
Yeah. And like, I mean, you look at like council rates and insurances, everything in the world is constantly getting more expensive. And to think about in 30 years' time, what the world would look like is very hard to wrap your head around. So you are taking a huge gamble if you go, somebody else is going to look after me. And this is a mindset you need to have around your finances, period, not just in relation to New Zealand superannuation. You cannot be, it is not somebody else's fault that you're in the situation that you are in. Like if you have, somebody will save me, or I have a victim's mindset, or whatever it be, you're letting the world happen to you. You need to take control of the situation. You need to go, how am I going to plan for my retirement? What is my step-by-step plan to get there? And make sure that you get what you want. Because, who the hell, like, whether it's a blue or a red government, who the hell is going to depend on the government to look after you?
Yeah, I also think that, like, it'll probably be the next government or the one after who will outsource the problem to the Reserve Bank and get them to deal with it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it is so politically unpopular to turn around and go, I'm going to piss everyone off who's probably 50 to 65 and say, you're not going to get superannuation. Like they tried to raise it in France by like 2 years and they basically burnt the country down. Like
that is France though.
Yeah. But like take that out of the equation. you kind of see almost in the housing market, right? Like they want the housing market solved. They want to do this. They want to do this. They want to like bring the prices down, this sort of stuff. So they say to the Reserve Bank, you now have more scope in your role. So it's price stability and inflation, or market stability and inflation.
They give them more tools.
Yeah,
and
I think what they'll end up doing is, instead of saying we're going to be the political party that gets absolutely hammered and doesn't get in for another 8 years, we will just say, you know what, Reserve Bank, you deal with it because you're independent. Once you give it, it's very difficult to take it back off the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank will go, we don't give a crap about getting elected. Here's exactly what the country should do based on the numbers. We'll come back a little bit from that so we're not, we don't get pitchforked. And then they'll do it. And that'll be the end of it.
As a basic thing, surely a high level of means testing makes sense.
Surely.
Like if you are wealthy to a point, like why the hell do you need another 30, 40 grand a year from the government?
Really? Why bother?
Yeah.
Like I just think you'd be moving the needle by such a small amount.
It's
on
a good,
the
it's a
total
good
fund.
Yeah, but it's a good starting point.
It's a good political starting point as if you're a political party. If you were the Reserve Bank, you'd just go, well, we'll bump it up and lower it. We'll bump the age up and lower the rate down, and that moves the needle. Instead of like that, it's like that.
Does that financially make sense?
In terms of the cost.
And the other reason why politically it's suicide, to touch this yourself, is who votes the most.
Older people.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you are touching their form of income or their future income, that is political suicide. The other one that they need to outsource to somebody is infrastructure. Because there's playing around with, there was the announcement from National around releasing a bunch of council land. You can't just release council land in isolation. You need an infrastructure plan for the country, and then somebody who can implement the plan over a long enough period of time. Because if we start and stop projects all the time, as a country, we're going to go absolutely nowhere.
But let's not get into the political chat.
Oh, no. Cool. Well, we've busted all 5 myths, so quite pleased with that. I think, well done, team. Yeah,
Thanks.
hopefully.
George is going to clip that.
Hopefully that's been somewhat useful, and I think this is a really interesting episode. If you've got other myths that you want busted, things that you have in the back of your mind that you're thinking, I want Mike and James' take on this, how does this work, I need it explained, hit us up and we'll do an episode on it.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to Partners Life for sponsoring the episode. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.